Welcome to Lynn Cullen Live, talk radio without the static. Email your questions and comments to lynn at pghcitypaper.com. And now your host, Lynn Cullen.
Hello. Welcome to the show. This is October something or other, 24th. Good God. And, excuse me, it's a Tuesday. And that means I bring my equally speech-challenged sister on. Susan, how are you? You sound like Thelma today.
I do
Oh,
sound
my
like...
God, you sound worse than me.
Yeah, well, there's this thing going around here.
Postnasal drip, that's what it is. Don't you think? So, I gotta tell you, a lot of stuff in the news, and the one story that I particularly loved is that scientists have discovered that fish get depressed.
Well, we're eating them at a large enough rate that I would get depressed too.
Well, I think they're dealing though with fish in captivity, right? So they're farmed in large part these days since we overfished all the natural fisheries. But they actually say that they're whatever the neural system that deals with depression, which has to do obviously with the brain chemistry and stuff, is so much like ours. The one professor says the similarity in the neurochemistry is so amazing, it's scary. So they're studying to make antidepressants better. They're messing around with fish.
Trying to make fish happy.
Well, first they got to make them depressed, though, because if you're a subject, you know. And they said you can tell a depressed fish. A depressed fish ain't swimming around much. A depressed fish looks like a depressed fish. It's
just sitting on the bottom.
Yeah, sits on the bottom. If they're up at the top and they're, alive and well. So I just wanted to tell you that is from the science section today, and I loved it. There's a picture of a depressed beta. And what they do is they get them first drunk. They get the fish drunk on ethanol. And then they remove they pull them off the ethanol, and the fish go into withdrawal and then total depression. So they hook them first, and then
they're disappointed in themselves for becoming addicts.
I don't know, but they say fish are naturally curious, and that's why if you have one fish swimming around in a little bowl, you're a sadist, okay? I mean, you gotta have stuff for them to interact with. You have to change their environment. Stick something in there. Stick a little plant. Anything will help, okay? Don't let a poor fish. There's hotels now where they give you a fish when you go to your room. Do you know that? There's one.
So you aren't alone in your room?
I guess so. There's one here, the Hotel Monaco. I don't think it comes with every room. I think you have to pay extra if you want your own fish.
You have to pay extra to get the fish.
Yeah, on your stay. But it's a bowl with a depressed fish in it. You imagine. Anyway, I just wanted to say. And
well, maybe theirs come with ethanol.
Well, now you know what fish like. They like ethanol.
Well, so they're just giving you a drinking buddy. It's all to make the minibar go up.
Maybe so. Get on the same plane as your fish. And a further bit of evidence that irony is dead, buried, gone, 20 feet under. Our First Lady was in Michigan yesterday talking to school children, and here's one of the things she said. I think it's very important to choose kindness and compassion. She's on her anti-bullying thing. I mean...
Okay, can you just give me a hint what she said, because I didn't hear that.
You didn't?
No, yeah, it went silent until the last word.
Oh, shit. I think it's very important to choose kindness and compassion, she said.
Okay, she's given that speech before.
Yeah, but she apparently now is really getting into what she said she would do before she became First Lady, which is have her major thing be anti-bullying, which is so ridiculous. I mean, you can't make it up.
No, you can't make it up. I mean, that's why the first time she gave that speech, one of the late night people read that quote and then took a beat and then said, "Have you met your husband?"
Right. Would you like to meet your husband? I think he could have a lesson or two from you. Unbelievable. I mean, she says this while her husband is bullying a grieving, young, pregnant widow. Is that not correct?
Oh, yes, and we have now dubbed and now the Congresswoman is being, now, but and since the Congresswoman has been treated with the ultimate woman disrespect. I mean, it's designed for a woman. That they call her wacky. They make fun of her colorful clothes, like they all dress to the nines. Those men.
Right.
Yeah, it's just like they're just continually awful.
The misogyny.
And all they have to do is say, "I'm sorry." It's not that hard. He can have a big card in front of his name, in front of his face, that has the person's name on it, with a pronunciation guide if necessary, so he can remember it from the beginning of the call to the end. And all he has to say is, "There are no words, I'm sorry." That's all he has to say.
Right. Well, the misogyny, I mean, it is true, the misogyny and the racism is just, it's awesome. That word gets used too often, but that's the right use of the word. It inspires
the whole thing, if you just look at the last couple of days with the O'Reilly stuff and the treatment of women, pays out a $32 million settlement to one woman. Let's try and imagine what the hell he did to her, that was his way out. And then the parent company just hires him right back on?
Right.
Like, okay, that's done.
He pays out $32 million, and he'd paid out millions before that, but nothing like that. And then they give him a 4-year contract where he's making $36 million. So I guess they cover it. But that's what
somebody pointed out that O.J. got to kill 2 people for merely $35 million.
There you go. So you got that.
So
and
what the hell did he do to this one woman? I mean, imagine.
No. I don't think he did anything any more outrageous than he did to any others. I think the difference here is she's a
she was powerful too.
Harvard-educated lawyer, and I think she had built a case. And they knew they couldn't. I guess he knew he couldn't touch her, so she just kept on upping the ante. I don't know. I mean, I am assuming that's what it is.
And we can't know because part of these deals is that with them he buys their silence.
Right.
And he buys the destruction of any sorts of proof that they might have.
And let us make clear that
he purchases it.
Corporations now have these all kinds of stuff in their contracts with employees, which, if they screw you literally or figuratively and you reach a settlement with them, you cannot speak of it. So that allows the persistence of the misogynistic and racist cultures of corporate America. Because never
it would be nice if we could get women covered by whistleblower acts. Because in effect, that's what they are. They're speaking truth to power.
Exactly. But
it's a different complaint and not covered.
Right. It's
even though all the consequences are the same: loss of career, loss of shunning by the public. I mean, look at what happened to the women that came out against Bill Cosby. I mean, people were just pissed at them because they liked Bill Cosby.
Right. How dare you take away this?
How dare you ruin my image of my favorite black guy?
Right. I don't know. God, help us.
Yeah, and I wish I could say that I thought things were going to change, but they aren't going to change. I mean, I enjoy watching different people in different areas of work coming out and saying, you think it only happens there, it only happens everywhere. I mean, that was the sort of thing that was irritating me about Hollywood. You don't have to be a gorgeous starlet.
Oh no. You sure
don't. You don't have to. This is nothing. This is no special treatment. You guys will be awful to just about anything.
This is why that the few women who've come out and said, well, if they didn't wear those clothes, or try to be, always appear like a sex object. And what is that? What's her name? Bialik. On what, that stupid show?
She's an Orthodox Jewish actress, the one that and a PhD in physics or something.
Right. La-di-da, and a self-righteous jerk.
Right. Well, she apologized, actually.
Did she?
Yeah.
Yeah. I saw somebody on Twitter responded to somebody who had said something similar. I was raped at the age of 7. I was wearing overalls and a long-sleeve T-shirt. Has nothing to do. It's an act of power over a child, over a woman, over whatever. Oh, my God. Roger.
And I mean, really, think about Roman Polanski and how we've just let him go. And to continue to work, and none of us really have judged him at all.
Well.
And he's a serial child rapist. He's a serial child rapist. The younger, the better. And he's just been hanging out in France making his movies.
I'll tell you, though, there's an interesting documentary about him that I saw, probably on demand, Netflix, who knows what, that shows the trial and his trial and how things were handled. And I got to tell you, he was victimized himself in that trial. There was, I can't, time has erased all the specifics. But if you watch that, if you see that somewhere, it's a fascinating documentary. And I forget who, but I think one of the prosecutors talks about how, they screwed him royally. They really did. The victim in that case has been for years and years saying, leave him alone. Please, leave him alone. I don't know. I think it's murkier than it
Well, the
may
victim
appear.
in that case, but it's
and she
coming
was
out
14
more and more
or
that there
15.
are many more victims.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Big shocker. We're going to try a great experiment here, Susan. Did you say we had a caller? We're going to try to see if we can do a caller and you at the same time. Okay?
Oh, this is so exciting.
I know.
You make my life just worth living.
I know. Caller, are you there?
Hi.
Hi.
Yeah, it's Susie. It's Susie from Swiss Elm Park.
Oh, we got Susie's up the wazoo here.
Is it working?
Sophie, just keep going. We'll let you know
boy.
if it doesn't. Yeah.
Film at 11. Big deal. Well, anyway, this Me Too campaign.
Yeah.
I kind of think that instead of all of us saying yes, we've been victims, maybe we should start naming all the people who have victimized us.
Ooh.
Right, because we are still protecting everybody.
Right. We're still protecting those men who have done all of these things. And we're still saying that we are the victims. It just drives me crazy that, I can't say that production manager who I used to work with used to, say these things to me and do these things, and this other one who, and all these other people. And
I'll name
couldn't get
names.
advanced in
I'll
my
name
dog.
names. I'll name names. Jack Walker, attorney, Madison, Wisconsin. Melly Shields Walker and Pease. I'll name names. Representative, I think, this is what I'm nervous about, Philip Burton, now deceased, I think, of the state of California. I'll name names, but most of them are dead.
I'd name
Lawrence!
names if I could remember
Wait.
if I could remember them.
Yeah, right. Oh, I got one. Lawrence effin' Welk. Right? And I've told that story.
Mark Smuckler, who used to work with me at WQED. Let's see. Oh, God, there's one I can't remember. He used to work with me at Reliance Training Networks.
Be careful.
You know,
See, I'm thinking, Susan, you're a legal person.
Well, what? If truth is an absolute defense.
Yeah, but does you have the
Yeah.
proof? Yeah, she doesn't have proof.
Yeah,
That's the problem.
and there were a lot of other women who had the same experience as I did with that guy who I named. But he was able to keep his job, and I couldn't handle being around him anymore, and I quit and went with a company that went bankrupt 3 months later.
No, that's the O'Reilly route.
Yeah.
The O'Reilly route says, well, you quit, you get yourself out of there.
Yeah, I did, and then the company went bankrupt 3 months later.
Well,
Right,
don't you
right.
remember,
Give up your job
Susan?
and let the abusers stay where they are.
Hey,
That's
Susan.
the way it goes.
That's what Trump said, too, when asked during the campaign what he would do if his daughter said that she'd been harassed on the job. And he said, I hope she'd find another job.
Well,
Do you
her
remember
job
that?
is working with him,
God.
and he's already said he'd like to bed her.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think I would call that harassment.
Oh, God. All right. Okay. Thank you. Thank you.
Well, but I do think you're right. Somebody wrote a very interesting thing about just the use of the passive voice when you talk about victimization. You know, it's always in the past perfect tense, making the person being acted upon and the person doing the acting totally invisible.
Wait a minute. Some people, Susan, didn't do well in grammar. Could you give an example of what you're saying?
Let me do it in I wish I could find the thing that I was reading, but it was beautifully done. It's just I'm trying to put it in the past.
Because I don't know.
I was attacked.
No, that's just past. That's just past tense.
How can I do it? I could do it. Just give me 2 minutes. Carry on, and I will do it.
Okay. Stephen's working on it too. Hey, Sue, thanks for the call there in Swiss
sure.
Helm.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye. And the experiment worked.
Why can't I do this?
I don't know.
I can do it.
I think Stephen's working on it here too. Back to Roger's email regarding kindness and compassion. Does that mean the First Lady plans matricide? What? Matricide? Okay. Is it possible to provide fish with medical marijuana?
No, actually, was attacked is the passive voice.
Well,
it's the passive voice is when the subject of the sentence is acted on by the verb.
Yeah, but rape is, by its nature, sexual harassment. The woman is on the receiving end of it. So how do you get away from that? There's an actor, that's the abuser, and the victim, who's acted upon.
Well, the proper way, in order to get out of it, you would have to say, John Doe raped Jane.
Oh, so you make him the subject. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, shouldn't depressed fish just pull themselves up by their bootstraps? Honest to effing Pete. Okay. Susan?
Yes.
If you're going to Honolulu, I just want you to know they have just passed a law. It's the first in the nation, I believe, or it's the second, that allows police to fine you $35 for looking at your friggin' phone while crossing the street.
Yay!
I think that's good, too. I wonder if they will, though.
I mean, how many times are you walking down the street that you are dodging people?
I'm dodging people.
Who are looking at their phones and are just going to walk right into you, and it's your responsibility to get out of their way.
To avoid them.
I've started to just stop.
Well, the problem is, I guess a lot of these people, so attached to their phones, are also getting mowed down by motorists who may be on their phones. So, pedestrian deaths have spiked in the United States. And, Americans, so that's the American response. We'll fine them. Here's the Dutch response, which I think is smarter and just allows for the fact that human nature being what it is, people are going to look at their friggin' phones while they're walking. So the Dutch have tried something different. They've embedded, I guess, the kind of illuminated the tape that, when you're getting the instructions on the airplane. And in the event of emergency, the tape, the aisles will light up, right? Don't they tell you that?
Yeah.
Right? So they put those kinds of LED illuminated strips in the crosswalk. And so people who are on their phones with their eyes down, their peripheral vision picks up the fact that the light will turn either red if they ain't supposed to be there or green if they're good to go. So that's what the Dutch are doing, because they throw up their hands right at the get-go in terms of changing human behavior. They just
I just say mow them down. I've had it. I'm really tired of people trying to kill me on the expressways.
Yeah.
Just sort of going out of their lane while they're typing.
No, I know. I mean,
and you
it's
can
just
honk at them all you want. They don't even
care.
They'll just give you the finger and go back to texting.
Yeah, I know. It really is something.
Go die. Leave me alone.
Oh, my.
I'm cheery today.
I know you are. Well, Susan, so don't know if you heard that Senator Bob Corker, who's the guy who's not running for re-election to the Senate, so he now feels free to warn the country that the president that he supported and voted with 90-some% of the time is a stark raving madman. Bob Corker is the head of the Senate Foreign Relations Committee, which is one of those committees that, frankly, is rather important. And he said today in an interview a number of things that are sort of, really, he just flat out said that this president will be remembered for the debasement of America. Now, understand, what's weird about this is that this is a Republican, a conservative Republican, talking about...
We got two of them now. We got him and McCain, both.
Yeah, those, and both not running. And it shows how selfish, I'll put it that way, selfish, self-interested, the other Republican senators are. Who agree with Corker and McCain, but to save their jobs, to help the country, those two things being up against each other, they save their jobs. So they shut up, and they're spineless, and they've made a deal with the devil. This is a Faustian bargain that they have made. As we speak, Stephen tells me, Trump, having heard what Bob Corker said about him, is tweeting. Of course he is.
Going nuts.
Okay, Bob Corker. Do we have any of the tweets? No.
Well, Corker said that the whole world is a witness to Trump's
lying,
untruth.
Right,
and then now Trump is
people like little
about the whole world is laughing at blah 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 blah.
He said people like Liddle, he spells little Liddle, I'm not sure why. People like Liddle, apostrophe. What does that mean? People like Liddle, Bob Corker, have set the U.S. way back. Well, for him, that's pretty tame. I'm sure he'll loosen up. The funny thing is that Trump and Corker are going to be eating lunch together today, along with a bunch of other Republican senators. But no, he just flat out, he said he was not a role model. He was
That's not what's funny about this. The funny part about it is it's a policy luncheon, and Trump is going to be discussing his ideas on policy with them. That's the funny part.
That is funny. Jesus H.
They're supposedly going to question Trump as to his policies. Oh, yeah. Ha.
Unbelievable.
I mean, you know, in some ways, if it weren't so effing scary,
it'd be fun.
You know, here he is with the Republicans coming out with their tax plan for the middle class, and the way they're funding their tax plan for the middle class is by taking away
the middle class. Right.
His ability to save.
Right. I mean, every plan they come out with is, are you effing kidding me? Let's get rid of the mortgage deduction.
But thank you, President Trump. I wouldn't have known where to look, to find out how they were funding the tax cut to the 1%. Oh, you can't put any more money in your 401k. You used to be able to put like $18,000-$20,000 in there. You could tax free. Now you can put $2,000.
$2,800.
And Trump comes out and goes, "Oh no, you can't do that." Well, good. Thank you, President Trump.
That's right.
I wouldn't have known that's what they were going to do to the poor middle class.
Right.
And now you're saying they can't do it, and now they're going, well, how are we supposed to pay for it then?
How can we give all these gazillionaires their tax break if we can't screw the middle class? Well, who knows? But yeah, so Trump yesterday, by saying what he said about the 401ks, actually did the right thing inadvertently.
Right.
However,
and now his GOP minions are all at Twitter because they can't actually do what he wants them to do because they actually have to figure out ways to pay for it, which he never seems to, the art of the deal. His art of the deal is to tell his people to go out and make a deal.
Listen.
He doesn't actually know how it's done.
No. The art of the deal was written by somebody else who has his full measure and has been very vocal about what
right. But I'm just,
right. And came up with that term, the art of the deal. Right. As usual, right. Trump gets credit and money and the presidency for this guy creating, actually two people, the Art of the Deal guy who wrote the book and the producer of The Apprentice, are probably more responsible than anybody else for the ascension of Donald Trump. They created a persona that, I don't know, Americans lapped up, which is astonishing to me, but there you have it.
Frankly, I liked America better when we liked Marcus Welby, MD. I think we need to go back to scripted television.
Oh, but yeah. He was a drunk, that actor.
Oh, I know. Robert Young, yeah.
Robert Young, who was also Father Knows Best.
Nobody actually thought he was Marcus Welby, MD.
Yes, they did. People did.
Oh, well, that's true. And people thought Bill Cosby was Bill Cosby.
Right. I mean, people do. They can't tell fact from fiction anymore, and media loves it that way, actually. Did you see, there's a clip going around of something that happened on Capitol Hill yesterday in another committee where the Secretary of Housing and Urban Development, Ben Carson, was summoned before a committee, and one of the congressmen questioning him, there's a 4-minute clip that is it's just unbelievable. Because he is as empty a vessel as Trump about the very policies that he supposedly is overseeing. And And
but he has a portrait painted with Jesus. How can he be an empty vessel?
I don't know, and he's a brain surgeon.
Yeah.
Which shows that you can be smart in one way and below stupid in another. And this little bit where Carson does not know
how much money. He ain't a brain surgeon anymore.
No, how much money he is suggesting that be taken out of the HUD budget. Billions. And the congressman is saying, well, so does that impact the grants that these people rely on? Does that impact the housing something or others? And he doesn't know. He doesn't know how much money it is. He doesn't know. He takes great umbrage, and he is eviscerated. This must happen every few minutes with Trump cabinet members going. Speaking of another cabinet member, I give you the head of the EPA, Scott.
Well, that would be Scott Pruitt.
That'd be Scott Pruitt, who now has an additional 12 Secret Service agents assigned to him. An additional.
Well, that's
I don't know how
his own scientists want to kill him.
Yeah, a lot of people want to kill him. But he's got a bigger security detail than I think the Secretary of State or than the Vice President or something. It is absurd. Name me another EPA secretary who's had even more than 2. The money these people...
Well, why?
He's getting death threats. You're probably right. Scientists want to kill him.
His own scientists do want to kill him.
Well, right, because he won't let him testify.
You can't even make an effing joke these days. It's all true.
That's right. It's all true. So I say irony is gone. Humor's on the edge. I don't know. And did you hear who got the huge contract? And this is from Puerto Rico. The Puerto Rican government has given...
You guys in Utah? Was it Utah?
No, Montana. So in Montana, guys, there's a little company that I don't think even existed a year ago. It's a new company. Before the hurricane hit Puerto Rico, it had 2 employees. 2. It's called Whitefish. It has been awarded a hundreds of $1 million contract to rebuild Puerto Rico's infrastructure. I mean, their grid, or electric grid. How is that even possible?
I don't know how that's possible.
And
it
turns out...
They power up right away. They got 225 people on the ground in Puerto Rico, even as we speak, which, even as we speak, is still dark.
Almost totally.
But...
Listen.
Almost totally.
So, Montana...
But Puerto Rico's the one that awarded that contract, right?
Yeah, it's Puerto Rico. So, these poor Puerto Ricans, they are being screwed by the feds, by their own government, I mean, my God. So, wait a minute. Name a city in Montana.
Butte?
It's the only one I can think of.
Oh, no, but I fly into Billings.
Helena.
Billings,
Helena. Okay, so...
Red Lodge.
So, guess what? The guy who has this company with 2 employees lives in the same city. I don't know which one it was. What? Whitefish is the name of the city? Whitefish is the name of the city in Montana. The thriving metropolis of Whitefish, Montana. And guess who else lives there?
Oh, could it be the guy that punched the reporter?
No.
The congressman?
No, I think, no. It's the guy who rode into Washington, D.C. to take his place in the Trump cabinet on horseback. No?
Oh.
It's the Interior Secretary, Ryan Zinke. who says, I don't know anything about this and I'm not helping anybody, but I don't know. Just so you understand, this company relies on subcontractors. So they hire other people. Did you see what Puerto Rico's paying these people? Did you see this? I mean,
No.
I actually liked the fact to know that somebody who does actual productive work, like a lineman, can make really good money. But the contract calls for his subcontractors to be paid at the rate of $319 an hour for a lineman.
Wow.
Wow is right. I am a lineman for the county. Nobody ever paid me $319
Well,
an
that's
hour.
not all going to the lineman.
Yes, it
is.
is. $319 for the lineman, $462 per hour for the supervisor, and Whitefish is also charging the Puerto Ricans nightly accommodation fees of $332 per worker, and and $80 per day for food for the worker.
Well, considering there aren't any accommodations or food, that's I don't understand. I mean, at least we're hearing about it. Maybe something will be done.
Jesus H! I gotta tell you. Oh my God. Huh? Check my email. Puerto Rico contracts? Not there. Okay. Suze?
Yes.
What else do I have here? Corker, EPA, Gorka, blah, blah, are you aware of this weird thing with James Comey and Twitter?
Yeah, that he had this strange Twitter account with the
Reinhold
under
Niebuhr.
a pseudonym, and
Yeah,
it
but the
was
pseudonym-
photography or something.
No, the pseudonym is the American philosopher. I always thought he was German, but I guess German extraction. Reinhold Niebuhr. And he was tweeting under Reinhold Niebuhr. And he was tweeting these weird, enigmatic pictures of nature. And then, oh God. And then yesterday, he comes up with another Reinhold Niebuhr tweet in which he says he's pictured himself. It's a picture of Comey standing on a highway, in the middle of a highway in Iowa, staring sort of ahead into the distance. And explain this to me. And James Comey, our former FBI secretary, tweets this out under the name of Reinhold Niebuhr and says under it something like, damn it, where is it? That, I can't find it. That it's great, always great to be in Iowa, and I'm going to find it. And got to get back, here it is. Goodbye, Iowa. On the road home. Got to get back to writing. We'll try to tweet in useful ways. Reinhold Niebuhr. And then after Reinhold Niebuhr, it says at former BU, which means former bureau. So he's got this other account, former BU, FBI, and the Reinhold Niebuhr thing, he tweeted from West Point, he tweeted from Iowa, and everybody is saying, what the? I mean, we live in such bizarre times, but what the hell is this about? And people say...
Well, first of all, whoever noticed, and put it before the last tweet?
It says a journal.
And probably nobody. They see the last tweet and then they go back.
No. Since the spring, they've been following this guy because a Gizmodo journalist, Ashley Feinberg, figured out that the Reinhold Niebuhr account belonged to Comey. Now,
I still think it's sort of random. Why? How do you run across? You know what I mean?
I don't know.
Gazillions of.
I don't know. Here's the story on the Reporter. Is it something you said? Basically, she found. This is her story, and she broke it in March. I don't know. I don't have time to read it right now, but yeah. After a few frustrated attempts, I tried the following Twitter search on a whim. So she searched under Brian Comey and James. I'm not sure why. And she did it. She figured it out.
She started with Comey and ended up there. Okay. Which is what I mean. You couldn't possibly do it the other way.
There's a million. So she says she used some algorithm which selected different accounts based on bore the last name Comey. Among the various Comeys, only 2 of the accounts lacked both real names and profile photos, and only one of these had anywhere near the 9 followers that James Comey claimed to have. That account was Reinhold Niebuhr. And she said she still wasn't sure, and she went into some other stuff. But what the F? I mean, what? So people said, what does this mean? He's standing in Iowa, like a really important, state if you're making a run for the presidency. And he's pictured standing on the yellow line dividing a 2-lane highway, only he's a little bit off to the left. So he's defining himself as a little left of middle, and he's in Iowa. And he says, goodbye, Iowa, and I got to go right. And people are losing their minds. It's like looking at tea leaves and entrails of chickens.
And deciding that he's running for president.
Right. And all hell's broken loose now on the Internet about him running, when he hasn't said he was going to run. And you know why he was in Iowa? His wife's father had a 90th birthday party. But why is he tweeting out these enigmatic thingamajiggies?
Maybe he was just on a long vacation and was posting pictures like other people do, but not of his food, and was just being totally straightforward when he said, well, this was fun. Now it's time to go home and start writing again.
He's writing a book, by the way, about what happened. Between him and Trump and how he got canned. But he also...
I always, the important thing that I learned from my husband is that it's always best just to take the speaker at their word when you have no other recourse.
Okay. Another thing that he tweeted the day before, on last Sunday, was he tweeted a photo of birds, and he said this, thinking about Niebuhr's Serenity Prayer. So most people know Niebuhr from the Serenity Prayer, which is used in AA, and it's a hell of a prayer. God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, courage to change the things I can, and wisdom to know the difference. That's a great prayer.
It is a great prayer.
So, I don't know what. It also turns out that Comey, when he was in college, did a thesis on Reinhold Niebuhr. So he's somebody who figures largely in his... And Niebuhr was sort of an internationalist, and what he did at the time, Jerry Falwell and the moral majority was on the rise. So the young Comey contrasted what Niebuhr was saying as the role of a Christian in politics or in the world and how they should act. And he was contrasting that with the Reverend Jerry Falwell, and this, this movement of evangelicals on the right in the 70s, at the sort of beginning of it all. And clearly took the side of Niebuhr in his paper. And so, you dig around in this, and it could be that, I don't know. I feel like we're living in Crazyville. I mean, you just don't know from one minute to the next what anybody's saying. Is it true? Is it not? Which is what they want. They want total chaos, and they got it, don't they? Don't they have it?
Yeah, I don't know. I'm glad to see that Comey's got a little life in him, and he's playing with people. It's harmless. And everybody who's jumping on, it's like a game. It's another reality game. Oh, what does it mean? What does it mean?
Okay, I got something else. So while we're bemoaning the guy in the White House, he's doing stuff, right? He's turning the EPA over to the petroleum industry. He's getting a lot of stuff done, and it's all can be under the heading of
bad
destruction, right? Absolute destruction. Do you see he's even going after now? Wait a minute, I just interrupted myself, but I saw that he is going to tell the Interior Department, whoever it is you tell, Ryan Zinke there in Whitefish, he's going to tell him that did we rename Mount Rainier Mount Denali? Which one became Denali? What? McKinley. McKinley, right. Rainier. McKinley.
Yeah.
He wants it to go back to McKinley. Can you imagine? I'm sorry if I blew anybody's eardrums out with that. Can you imagine?
He wants the old white guy to be honored.
That's
and forget
right.
The
McKinley
forget
never
the indigenous peoples.
McKinley never saw that mountain. The native
losers.
The Native Americans have called it Denali long before any white guy saw it. So Trump apparently is, he will leave not the least little teeny thing that happened under Barack Obama alone. He will undo every single thing. It's mind-blowing. But what I was getting at was one of the things he's accomplished, and it will haunt this country for the rest of my life, I suspect, is his appointment to the Supreme Court of Neil Gorsuch, who now sits in the court in the seat that rightfully belonged to a truly great jurist named Merrick Garland, a guy who even Republicans had thought of nominating in the past, a neutral, straightforward, honorable jurist. And you'll recall that for 11 months, the Republicans refused to give Gorsuch a hearing. It's like hijacking our government and our Constitution.
Well, yeah. And and done just, while bashing their fists against their chests and proclaiming their God-given right to do it.
Here's why they win, in part, though. They don't play by the rules. It's bare-knuckled and no rules. And the Democrats are still Queensberry rules and, it's traditional that...
We're snowflakes.
Yeah. You can't beat these guys because we're wimps. I don't want us to have to be as ugly as them.
That's buying their language. We can't be willing to give up all ethical...
No. But
in order to win, you can't. you just have to pray and hope that, we can get enough people who believe the right way to actually vote, and that they live in places that haven't been so gerrymandered that it doesn't matter.
Oh, dear God. So, I want to talk about Gorsuch a little bit, because now that he's on the court, he's been there for a few months, right? Sat through a whole season of oral arguments as the freshman jurist.
Mostly he's just been making money off of his appointment.
He has done a lot of things that have stunned me. He's done stuff that generally you would never do. He's campaigned with Mitch McConnell. Very politicized. He also, somebody put a little compilation together of some of the most seasoned court reporters, people who've covered the U.S. Supreme Court for decades, how they perceive him. And they are unanimous in their perception. And it is not good. And I am talking about people like Nina Totenberg and Linda Greenhouse, Adam Winkler. These are all people who have been, Joan Biskupic? I don't know. All of these people have covered the court forever. And they all have had the same reaction. I'll read just a tiny bit of what they are saying. No, I won't, because I don't have it. How's that possible? It's okay. They are saying that he is not behaving as a juvenile, the least senior jurist is expected to behave. He has not shut up for a minute. He talks over other jurists. He says snide things about other jurists, and he is, they say, aggressive and dismissive and all of these things. And what is coming out from leakers, because there are people who do leak about the court, is that the other jurists in general don't like him. That the only two jurists who are on his side regularly are Clarence Thomas and Samuel Alito. That the Chief Justice doesn't like him. Kennedy doesn't like him. And Kagan is apparently the one who is taking him on. When they get together to talk about a case, there's nobody there but the justices. Nobody. So the fact that things are leaking out about what is happening in those meetings shows that actual justices are telling maybe their clerks, who are then telling somebody else. And here's what Nina Totenberg says. Gorsuch has ticked off some members of the court, and it's not just the liberals. She says, and this is one careful reporter, I'll tell you. She says, my surmise from what I'm hearing is that Justice Kagan has really taken Gorsuch on in conference, and that it's a pretty tough battle, and it's going to get tougher, and she's about as tough as they come, and I'm not sure he is as tough, or dare I say it, as smart. I always thought he was very smart, but he has a tin ear somehow, and he doesn't seem to bring anything new to the conversation. So they go on to say that Roberts and Kennedy really don't like him. These are fellow conservatives.
Well, good.
I guess.
And Thomas probably only likes him because he knows he's going to make Thomas look better. It's like W and Trump.
I just don't know, but he is more clearly political, ideological. He has taken shots in dissents he's written at other jurists, including Kennedy. He ain't they said he is not the sort of Boy Scout, bland character that showed up at his nomination hearings, his hearings, where he was lovely and offended nobody. But he is not deferential to the others, and he is essentially a jerk. And the other justices don't like him. God. And he'll be there forever.
What a surprise.
Huh? Yeah, such a surprise. You know, his mom, Gorsuch's mom, used to head the Environmental Protection Agency.
Oh, I thought you were going to say doesn't even like him.
No. Oh, yeah, no, they're peas in a pod. Anne, I think her name was Anne. Anne Gorsuch headed the EPA, I believe, under Reagan. And she was, as is so often the case of Republicans put in charge of the Environmental Protection Agency, she did her best to hamstring it and did her best to do the bidding of the polluters. So he comes from that very politicized, ideological family, and anyone who thinks he's not politicized is nuts. And he is going, oh, God, I can't take it. All right, that's it. I've depressed myself into total, wait, I want to give you one more quick little thing. Some of my favorite tweets. Can I do that or not? No? Nobody's saying anything. Yeah? I know. I'm just trying to get to it. My phone's slow. Shit.
Yeah, I can't hear you. If you're talking, I can't hear you.
Can you hear me now? Can you hear
me now?
I
heard now. I assume that you said, "Can you hear me?" first.
Yeah. Well,
all I heard was now.
Okay. Well, that's good to know, and the good news is that we're on our last legs. It's just a minute left.
Yeah, I was wondering, because I'm not watching you. I'm just talking to you. Whether it has to do with whether you are facing the microphone or not. If you're turning your head away and not speaking directly into the microphone.
No, that's not it. I'm not moving that much because everybody else is hearing me. Why would that be it?
I don't know.
It doesn't make any sense to me. Yeah, here's somebody who pointed this out. O'Reilly settled a harassment claim for $32 million, and Fox renewed his contract for $36 million. Trump bragged on tape about sexually assaulting women, and he was voted the president. And Kaepernick, he took a knee to protest racial injustice, and he's been blackballed from the NFL. And that, folks, is the definition of white privilege.
White male privilege.
And here's another one. Here's a guy who tweeted this. Wilson, that's about the congresswoman from Florida. Wilson is nothing but a race pimp. Without racism, she'd be refilling water glasses at IHOP. And
I mean, the lack of awareness is just amazing.
Somebody tweeted back to him, Congressman Wilson has her doctorate and was an award-winning educator before she became a congressperson. But a white guy looking at her sees nothing but a black woman, right? And assumes
that's right.
She'd be filling water glasses if it weren't for affirmative action. That's, right. God. Okay. And John Kelly, former respected general, is being called upon by the Washington Post editorial board, by many, many members of the Congress of the United States to apologize to Congresswoman Wilson, and the silence is deafening. So I don't want anyone else ever to talk him up to me. He has, if he was a man of honor before he got into this White House where he was supposed to babysit the president, he is no longer an honorable man, no matter how he conducts
he's just
himself.
lost it.
His refusal to correct the record of what he said about her, which is demonstrably false, shows he's gone over to the dark side. And maybe we better get somebody to babysit him now. So that's that.
Yeah, I mean, how can he not, given that there is a videotape of the whole damn thing?
Hey, he's become a Trumpian. Doesn't matter. If there's evidence that what you said is a total falsehood, you do not back down. You do not apologize. And he has sold his soul, if he had one. He was doing a good job of looking like he did, but he does not. So people, in these kinds of times, people show themselves. That's it for me, Suze.
All right, me too.
I guess so. Hey, thanks. Appreciate it.
That I heard.
Okay, bye.
It was pretty good today. Bye.
Bye. Yeah, it was better today, but it still wasn't perfect, and we'll work on it, although we don't have a clue what the hell's going on. So, guys, if I keep saying so, somebody shoot me. Have a good day.
Lynn Cullen Live, Monday through Friday from 10 a.m. to 11 a.m. and archived at pghcitypaper.com. The opinions expressed on Lynn Cullen Live are those of the host and do not necessarily reflect the viewpoints of Pittsburgh City Paper or its advertisers.